And welcome, one and all. Let me get that volume down a little bit so I don't blow out your speakers. My name is Jason Davis. This is Empower Volusia and Common Sense. That's right. That's what we got here. We got some common sense going on here. And, hey, wow. I have to tell you that we're coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere in the western highlands of Volusia County, hidden in an iron bunker, and we are truly guarded by two rabid Pomeranians and, one crazy cat. That's right. And the crazy cat this morning decided he wanted to get on the roof. He got out of his little out of our front porch, and he jumped up on the roof. How he got up there, I don't know. I asked him. He said he flew up there. I had to fly up there and get him down. It was really kind of an interesting morning already. So, anyways, I have to make a little bit of a, shall we say, a correction, if we will, because, sometimes when I do these podcasts, I get so impassioned. I get so rolled up in the discussion that sometimes I make a little faux pas, which I think is French for a mistake. And I say something that is not entirely true, so I am going to correct it today. Today is August 23rd. Yesterday, August 22nd of 2019, I said representative from Wisconsin, and I misspoke. Miss Omar is actually a representative of Minnesota, not of Wisconsin. And I apologize. I got so enthralled in it, and you probably hear it in my voice where I go, so-and-so from some. Even though I got the notes sitting right here in front of me, it's kind of funny. And I sit back and I laugh and I say, oh my gosh, I have to apologize for this one because, I don't want to be too incorrect, shall we say, because, a lot of the discussion here is opinion. And I've been told that I'm a very opinionated person. But a lot of my opinion is backed up by fact, like what we're going to discuss today. And this one comes from one of our favorite people to look on the internet, Mr. Barker, Mark Barker from Barker's View, Visions from a Bloodshot Eye. He calls his website. It's called Angels and A-Holes. And or Winners and Losers. He's on Facebook. You can look him up at barkersview.org. And probably see everything that he's got going on there. So there's a free plug for you, Mark. I've met Mark. I know Mark. Mark's a good guy. And yes, he's very opinionated. But, like me, he backs up his opinion with fact. So, let's go to his August 23rd, 2019, which is issued today. It was posted. And there's something here very near and dear to my heart. And he calls... He says these are angels, and I'm cleaning up the words because I want to keep this, some people listen to this. I've actually driven down the road, which is quite impressive. As I drive down the road, I like to drive with the windows open when the weather's nice, and I've driven by people and actually have heard my the opening music and the opening comments that I make on people's cars. They use their cell phone. See, you can use your cell phone app, and if you're getting data, you can actually download this and play it as you're driving down the road, which is really cool. See, you're driving down the road and you're listening to this and you're understanding everything, and it's like, wow, this is cool. And it's really kind of cool when I drive around town and I actually hear it. I've actually heard it 3 times. And one lady pulled up, it was kind of a funny story. I was at the local, I went off and was doing whatever I do in the normal day when I'm not sitting here giving you all this great information, and I was out and about. Not a lot of people know me personally, physically, see me and say, oh, that's him, because, I've dressed down since my days on the council. Yes, I still wear the trademark hat, and I'm still trademark bald, but this lady pulled in, and she was actually listening to the podcast one afternoon as I was coming. I stopped at a handy store somewhere, and I was getting a cup of coffee or whatever I was getting, and this car pulls up, and the lady gets out, and I hear this very familiar voice, and it sounded something like this. I said, hey, that's me. And the lady turns her car off. She gets out of the car. Her windows are down. And I walked up to her, and she looked at me very surprised. I says, I want to thank you. She goes, for what? I says, well, you're listening to my podcast. I really appreciate it. She goes, You're Jason Davis? And I said, yes, I am. Wow. And we chatted for a minute, and we exchanged ideas and discussion. It was very cool. I liked it. But anyways, and it's really neat to hear hear that you actually have people listening to you. So I know I'm not doing all of this in vain. So I think I've rambled on too much about that. Anyways, so Mark Barker, here we go. And as you know, if you've listened to more than one of these podcasts, I am the past Volusia County Chair. And I made laws. I passed legislation. I argued and debated, and in those days, it was me, but now Donald Trump is going through the president of the United States. Donald Trump is going through the same things that I went through, the abuse and hatred from the media. Because the media, there were very few media outlets that really enjoyed talking with me or liked me. But our local news media constantly was on the attack, and I understand what he's going through. So anyways, here is something that I do know a lot about. And, by the way, I got to let you know also that you can hear us on Facebook. Because my thing gets posted on Facebook. You can hear us on YouTube. You can reach me on Facebook. Look for Jason Davis. I'm the bald-headed guy with a cowboy hat looking... and actually, that picture was taken in front of the Library of Congress. And you can also see us on Twitter. And you can also now hear us on iTunes, so that's pretty cool too. It's we're really growing, and it's amazing. And I appreciate all of our many, many fans and listeners who are getting their common sense daily dose from us. So, anyways, here's some common sense for you folks, because I've always been one, and I have always done my best to tell you the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And I told everybody the truth. And this one is an a-hole markup from Mark Barker. And we're still talking about Barker's View. And it's called the First Step Shelter Board. Now, what is First Step for all you people that don't know? First Step is a homeless shelter that was created during my administration, which I said no. I constantly said no. No, no, no. I said, look, folks, no. You're going to destroy the budget of the county. No, there's too much money involved in this. No, you will never cure homelessness. Here's a big thing about homelessness, folks, and drug addiction, and all these other issues that we're going to take. Everybody says we need to do something about this. So what do we do as government? What does the government do? We create a board. We create a committee. The committee discusses and debates and discusses and debates, and maybe 4 or 5 months down the road somewhere or longer, they'll say, we got to put together this program. And so we create all these programs for homelessness, for drug addiction, for this program, for criminals. We have programs for criminals to try to bring them back into the society as productive humans. And here's our problem. When we create these programs and we throw tons of money, I mean piles and piles and piles of money into these programs to fix the problem, show me one. If they're doing such a great job, why do we still have a drug addiction? Why do we still have homelessness? We've got all these programs out here. Why? I have a theory. I do have a theory. But anyways, I will go to that theory in a minute here. So according to Mr. Mark Barker, yes, and I love this. He said there's an apt figure of speech that says a camel is a horse designed by committee, and that's why I brought up committees. Exactly. It's let's be realistic. A camel is basically a horse with safety rails. I guess OSHA designed it. But anyways, for Volusia County taxpayers, this metaphor is coming home to roost in the form of an incredibly expensive money pit still under construction in the hinterlands west of Daytona Beach, a cluster blank of monumental proportions that no longer bears any resemblance to the come-as-you-are homeless shelter we were promised so many years ago. That is a direct quote from Mr. Mark Barker. I had to clean it up a little bit. I'm sorry, Mark. We tried to avoid profanity. I told you so. Yes, I said it. I told you so, and I get to do that. I get to tell you I told you so. And why did I tell you so? Because I told you that creating a committee and subcommittees and getting volunteers and throwing $8 to $10 million into this crazy governmental debacle that was called the first, what do they call this thing now? I mean, it was just called the homeless shelter, but now it is called the, where is it? I just saw it there. Yes, the Come As You Are shelter. And it's not. It's not going to work. I warned everybody that first things first, the county should not be involved in this. The homeless problems, and I'm going to upset a lot of people. And you know what? I'm not in government, and tough. Get over it. I'm going to upset some people. And here's how I'm going to upset you. The homeless issue, despite what anybody is going to tell you, is not a Volusia County government problem. It is not, and I live in the unincorporated areas of Volusia County. The old iron bunker is outside of any city limits because they wouldn't let me build an iron bunker inside the city limits. But it is not a problem that I should have to pay for. It sounds very selfish, and I'm sure it's upsetting some people. But you know what? The real problem, it's totally confined within the cities. There are 16 cities in Volusia County, and each one of these cities has a homeless issue, except for one of them that I know of. And that is the great little township and community of Pearson. Pearson does not have a homeless issue. They said there was one homeless child here in Pearson. While I sat on the board, and I said, where is this child? You get this name to me, this child. You find this child. You bring this child before me personally. And I will tell you that that child will not be homeless because I have an extra room in my home that I would be willing to open up to this child. Because a child needs a home. A child needs a stable environment where they can live, where they can have a decent meal, where they can have conversation with people and not have to worry about being harmed, where they can be and do their studies and have clean clothes and have a shower. This is what a child needs. And that's how I was going to combat homelessness for children. But you know what? When I pushed the issue, this child vaporized into thin air. The child no longer existed. I was like, where is this homeless child you guys keep telling me about? And this was through some organization. I can't remember which one, and I'm not going to name names. There are so many. I said, where is this child? I actually got quite angry with it. And I went to my staff member. I said, you get a hold of this person, and you tell them I want the name of this child. I am not joking when I say something in open chambers or when I say something in my office. You take it to the bank because that's what I mean. Just like what I said about the crazy cat. This crazy cat was a homeless cat who was sitting in a shelter, and I said that cat no longer has no home. He has a very loving and caring home, and he can guard my iron bunker. And I have the cat. His name is Smokey, and Smokey's a great cat. He's the biggest lovable animal in the world. I have a home for this homeless child, and nobody could find it all of a sudden. It just disappeared. It doesn't exist. So I think maybe some of the numbers are skewed a little bit, but anyways, I shall digress. I warned everybody in Volusia County in government chambers that this homeless shelter, this Next Chance or whatever they call it, homeless shelter, was going to be over budget and way out of time. Yes, that's exactly what it is right now. It was about, and I also said we do not need the county to pay for it. The cities need to get together. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. And all the leadership of the cities, well, I'm not going to say leadership because there was zero leadership. Zero leadership in this issue. This issue was constructed and devised by the talking heads of the city councils around Volusia County, the liberals that said everybody should have a place to go, we won't have homelessness, and what a wonderful thing. We'll create these programs to help reindoctrinate them into the society. We'll get them cleaned up. We'll get them counseling. We'll get them this. We'll get them that. We'll get them this. And you know what? Every city and county in the country, in the United States, and even the federal government has thrown money into this. And you know what? What has happened is absolutely nothing. Nothing. Because you are enabling, and there's the theory, folks. When you give free things to people who don't do anything to earn these free things, they think it's an entitlement. I'm entitled to that because I get it for free. As I said in one of my podcasts, I think I made it 2 or 3 days ago, there ain't no free lunch, folks. And here we are. Somebody's got to pay the lunch bill. And guess what? That bill has been dropped right on the desk of the Volusia County citizen. Every citizen of Volusia County will pay for it. They're going to pay for it. Because now, all of a sudden, we have a director. Let me see where the director is. It was down in here. A director who started off as a, shall we say, volunteer. And I'm looking through the article because I did read it. It was right here. Catholic churches, or Catholic charities, has an obscene amount of $425,000 to run a simple outdoor accommodation system. That's almost $500,000 to mow a yard and build little tents. So, that's some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen in my life. But anyways, we go on down. I digress. This is it. The First Step Homeless Shelter. You know, they put this thing, and I warned everybody, it was going to be expensive, and it's way up into millions of dollars. It's surpassed where we started from in the first place. There are plenty of open buildings. As a matter of fact, the Volusia County government was willing to donate a building for the homeless shelter right in the center of Homelessness USA in Volusia County. It was right on the border of Holly Hill and Daytona Beach, which is north side of Daytona, right there. And there was our evac system. And we were closing out the evac building. But the building is huge, and it's got plenty of property. It's fenced in around. It's all secure. Make it a homeless shelter. No, we don't want to do that. Why not? Because it's within the city limits of our cities. Oh, how ridiculous. You're homeless. No, instead, Daytona Beach, the city of Daytona Beach, had a piece of property out by the county jail, out in the middle of the county on Highway 92, roughly 6 miles away from Daytona. We got to keep them out of Daytona, of course. Yeah. And they said, we'll build this building. They said they would do all this, and now they're throwing it over to the county. Because, as I warned everybody, the cities will promise you everything, but when it comes right down to the end of it, the cities are going to back out of the deal. You better have an ironclad contract, or they will back out of this deal, and they will leave it to the Volusia County residents. Everybody in Volusia County is going to have to pay for this thing, and it starts off at $1.1 million. And what you did is you just created an eating, breathing, all-consuming monster that will now, at this year, when they open it up, it'll be $1.1 million to operate it, and they're going to throw it on Volusia County government. Let me just say this, folks. Volusia County budget is already pushed to the limits. They got some money for, certain things, infrastructure and stuff that they can help with. But when you start throwing a $1.1 million this year, Next year, it'll probably go up to 1.7, and then up to maybe 2. And every year, as we have seen throughout history of these homeless shelters, the cost of maintaining these things goes up and up and up to where it gets to the point it's too expensive to operate. Hillsborough County found that out. They created this great, wonderful place where the homeless could go, and all the homeless would go here. Oh, they don't. But when they get them there, it is costing so much money. It's out of budget. It's out of reach of the budget. So they're having to increase their taxes just to pay for the homeless shelter. Same thing is happening. This will start out at 1.1. And then it's going to grow. I predict in not very many long years from now, it will be $5 million to operate. And it will go up 4% every year. Especially when you have, I don't know, let's see, when you have people that, I'm trying to find this here. Jane Bloom, there it is. She is, and according to Mark Barker, the author of a disgusting and insubordinate rebuke of former board member Joe Forte, which appears on social media under the First Step flag, which is a website. She will start out at $5,500 a month. That's her paycheck. Okay, folks. $5,500 a month. $70,000 a year to start. And, of course, she's going to want a 4% or 6% pay raise or maybe an 8% pay raise every year because she's a director of the homeless shelter. Who wouldn't want that job? All you do is walk around and say, fix that, fix that, fix that. It's not a real tough job to do. I'll do it for $4,000. If you really want somebody to do it that actually knows something about government, that actually knows something about how to manage people. I was in the military as a leader and a manager and my own private business owner. I've got quite the resume of leadership. I'll do it for $4,000. Take that to the bank. So, anyways, so for $70,000 a year roughly, this lady, Jane Bloom, is going to run this homeless shelter. Yay. And every year she's going to get a pay raise. Yay. And then every year she's going to add staff. Yay. And the cost of food goes up. Yay. And the cost of power and the cost of water and the cost of sewer and the cost of transportation goes up. Because how do you get these people 7 miles outside the city limits? You have to bring them out on a bus. So you got to buy a bus. Because you know what? Volusia County's already said, and I said, and the bus system, which is owned by Volusia County, there's a rabid Pomeranian barking, sorry about that, said we're not going to give them free rides. So this is how the cost will go up and up and up. It will become an eating, breathing, all-consuming of tax dollar monster. Just like the fire services is becoming. It will eat money up. This is the craziest, most stupid idea that we have had here in Volusia County, because you know what? They say, well, we'll get them all in one place, and we'll give them all these services and all this help, and we'll get them back on their feet and out of homelessness. I have only one question. I reiterate the same statement or the same question one more time. If these programs work so darn well, how come we still have homeless people in Volusia County? Think that through. Nice dramatic pause, Mr. Davis. Think it through, folks. If these programs, all of these programs across the board, if they are so great and they are helping people so much, how come we still have these problems? Well, here you go. Well, that's because they don't work. People are there just to get a government paycheck and all the government benefits they can put their little fingers on. And they are not responsible to anyone to get the job done. The people that are responsible are the elected officials, who end up being nothing more than just figureheads, because these organizations do what they want, and really our councils have no teeth. They can't fight back. They can't fire anybody. They can't hire anybody. They can't do anything like this. The only people that they can hire or fire that are part of a governmental agency is their managers and their county and their city or county attorneys. That's all they can hire or fire by unanimous because they work at the pleasure of the councils. That's the facts, folks. And it goes on with every single organization that is attended to this, that's attached to our government in this Volusia County. I'm not going to say every place, just Volusia County. We couldn't hire or fire anybody, no matter what. And we had to rely on our manager to hire or fire somebody. When we had that issue on the beach where this guy was being a little, shall we say, risque, I said, dump the guy, get rid of him. And our county manager said, well, we got to investigate and da-da-da. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, he's going to be on administrative leave. I said, no. You put him on non-paid suspension and make him think through what he did, because you know what? They ended up firing him anyways because it was wrong. You had witnesses. You had people. You had his own cell phone doing whatever he was doing. It was ridiculous. So there you go, folks. Government elected officials are the tail that are being wagged by the county staff, hence the dog. And they are not using any, well, common sense.